The grocery store was full of laughter, golden lights, and the warm scent of cinnamon pies. But in aisle 7, a young mother stood frozen, staring at a frozen turkey she couldn't afford. Her trembling hands clutched a few crumpled bills, her eyes filled with silent shame. Just a few steps away, an older man in a tailored coat noticed. And that single moment, that quiet hesitation before kindness, would change both of their lives forever. The day before Thanksgiving, the city was alive. Shoppers rushing with carts full of joy, parents promising their kids a feast, and laughter echoing down the aisles. But for Sarah Mitchell, a single mom of a 6-year-old boy named Eli, Thanksgiving had become a test of survival rather than celebration. Her car had broken down the week before. Rent was due, and her paycheck from the diner barely covered groceries for the week. Yet Eli had been talking for days about the big Thanksgiving turkey they'd seen on TV. Sarah wanted to give him that. Just one day where they could forget the struggle. She stood in the frozen section of the supermarket, her cart half empty, a small loaf of bread, a can of green beans, and a pack of instant mashed potatoes. She stared at the turkey, $29.99, and did the math again in her head, whispering, maybe if I skip the gas this week. Behind her, customers laughed and filled their carts. She took a shaky breath, grabbed the turkey, and placed it in the cart. Eli smiled, tugging her sleeve. Mom, we can have a big Thanksgiving like the neighbors, right? Sarah smiled weakly. We'll see, sweetheart. But at the checkout, reality hit. The cashier read the total, the $47.13. Sarah's heart dropped, she only had 32. Her cheeks flushed as the line behind her grew impatient. I'm sorry, she whispered. Can you remove the turkey, please? The cashier nodded, trying not to meet her eyes. Eli's smile faded. Mom, we can't have turkey. Sarah forced a smile through tears. It's okay, baby. Maybe next time. She didn't notice the man, 2 people behind her. Gray hair, kind eyes, dressed in a business suit. Watching quietly. His name was David Reynolds, CEO of one of the biggest tech firms in the city. But at that moment, he wasn't a CEO. He was a father. When Sarah walked away, clutching Eli's hand and a small bag of groceries, David stayed behind. He told the cashier quietly, add that turkey and whatever she couldn't afford. And tell me her name if you can. That night, Sarah tucked Ellie into bed with a peanut butter sandwich and a forced smile. Outside, the wind howled through their small apartment. She sat by the window, staring at the city lights, wondering how long she could keep pretending everything was okay. Then, a knock. She froze. It was almost 9 p.m. No one ever visited. When she opened the door, a grocery delivery man stood there holding 2 large bags. And on top, a perfectly wrapped Thanksgiving turkey. Delivery for Sarah Mitchell. He said. There must be a mistake. She replied, confused. No, ma'am. Paid in full. Anonymous sender. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at the turkey as if it were gold. Eli came running out, eyes wide. Mom. It's the turkey. Sarah knelt, hugging him tight. Yeah, baby, it's our turkey. She didn't know it yet, but the next morning, as she prepared the meal, David Reynolds sat at his office window, sipping coffee, watching the world wake up. On his desk sat a small note from the cashier he had left his number with. The woman's name is Sarah. She works at Lily's diner. That same evening, David walked into the small diner. Sarah, still in her worn uniform, looked up, and froze. It was him. I think you're the reason my son's smiling tonight, she said, her voice trembling. David smiled softly. Sometimes, we all just need someone to notice. I saw a mom doing everything she could. And it reminded me of mine. He reached into his pocket, pulled out an envelope, and placed it on the counter. I don't want charity, Sarah whispered. It's not charity, David said gently. It's an opportunity. My company has a family support program. We help single parents finish school, find better jobs, and build a future. You're the kind of person we want. Sarah's eyes widened. She opened the envelope. Inside was a job offer, a scholarship for online classes, and a handwritten note. You've already proven your worth. Now let's build your tomorrow. She broke down crying right there. David simply smiled and said, Happy Thanksgiving. A month later, Sarah stood at a new desk. Now an employee at Reynolds Tech. Her son's picture framed beside her computer. She'd traded late diner shifts for hope and a stable life. Every Thanksgiving since, she bought 2 turkeys. One for their table, and one for a stranger who might need a miracle too. Because sometimes, a single act of kindness doesn't just feed a family. It changes generations. Kindness doesn't need an audience. It just needs a heart that's willing to see others. One small act of compassion can restore faith in humanity, one Thanksgiving at a time.